Former President Donald Trump has never been one to shy away from controversy. His presidency was marked by bold pronouncements and often radical policy proposals. Now, out of office but with his eyes firmly set on a potential 2026 run, Trump has reignited the debate on immigration with a characteristically provocative proposal: deporting violent U.S. criminals to El Salvador. This plan, announced in a flurry of media appearances and pronouncements, has sent shockwaves through the American political landscape and sparked outrage among human rights groups. The crux of Trump's proposal lies in a controversial agreement reached between the U.S. and El Salvador in February 2025. This agreement, shrouded in secrecy and met with limited public scrutiny, allows the U.S. to transfer convicted criminals, including those serving life sentences, to El Salvador's burgeoning network of mega-prisons. Trump, a vocal admirer of El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele and his iron-fisted approach to crime, has lauded these prisons as a model for tackling gang violence and restoring law and order. However, the most explosive element of Trump's plan is not the transfer of convicted criminals, but his assertion that U.S. citizens involved in violent crimes could also be subject to deportation to El Salvador. This statement, delivered with Trump's trademark bravado, has ignited a firestorm of controversy, with legal experts and human rights advocates decrying it as a blatant violation of U.S. law and a dangerous erosion of fundamental rights. The legal and moral implications of deporting American citizens to a country grappling with its own complex history of violence and instability are profound. Trump's proposal, far from a practical solution to crime, threatens to unravel the very fabric of American citizenship and set a dangerous precedent for the erosion of human rights in the name of security. At the heart of Trump's controversial deportation plan lies a fundamental question: is it even legal to deport U.S. citizens? The answer, according to legal experts, is a resounding no. The U.S. Constitution, the bedrock of American law, is unambiguous in its guarantee of birthright citizenship. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, clearly states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States. This principle, deeply ingrained in the nation's legal and social fabric, has for over a century served as a cornerstone of American identity. Deportation, a legal process with far-reaching consequences, is reserved for foreign nationals who have violated the terms of their immigration status or engaged in criminal activity. It is not, and has never been, a legal option for U.S. citizens, regardless of their alleged crimes. The very notion of stripping American citizens of their citizenship based on criminal accusations strikes at the core of due process and equal protection under the law. Despite the clear legal roadblock, the Trump administration has remained defiant, claiming that it is studying the law regarding the deportation of U.S. citizens. This assertion, met with skepticism and concern from legal scholars, suggests a willingness to explore legal loopholes or even challenge established legal precedent to advance a politically charged agenda. The potential consequences of such an approach for the rule of law and the rights of American citizens are deeply troubling. The Trump administration's apparent disregard for established legal norms surrounding citizenship and deportation raises profound questions about its commitment to upholding the Constitution. The very suggestion that American citizens could be stripped of their fundamental rights and deported to a foreign country based on criminal accusations without due process or judicial oversight is a dangerous erosion of the rule of law and a threat to the very fabric of American democracy. The foundation of Trump's controversial deportation plan rests on a little-known agreement inked between the U.S. and El Salvador in February 2025. This agreement, shrouded in secrecy and met with limited public scrutiny, has raised serious concerns among human rights organizations and legal experts. At its core, the agreement allows the U.S. to transfer convicted criminals, including those serving life sentences, to El Salvador's rapidly expanding network of mega-prisons. Proponents of the agreement, including the Trump administration, argue that it provides a cost-effective solution to prison overcrowding in the U.S., while simultaneously aiding El Salvador in its fight against gang violence. They point to the significant financial incentives provided to the Salvadoran government as evidence of a mutually beneficial partnership. However, Critics argue that these financial incentives come at a steep human cost, effectively outsourcing the responsibility for the humane treatment of prisoners to a country with a questionable human rights record. El Salvador's mega-prisons, lauded by President Bukele as symbols of his government's hardline approach to crime, have drawn sharp condemnation from international human rights groups. Reports of overcrowding, inadequate healthcare, and rampant violence within these facilities paint a grim picture of the potential fate awaiting individuals transferred under the U.S.-El Salvador Agreement. The agreement itself, lacking robust oversight mechanisms or guarantees of humane treatment, raises serious concerns about the potential for human rights abuses. The U.S.-El Salvador Agreement, far from a model of international cooperation, represents a dangerous abdication of responsibility for the humane treatment of prisoners. By transferring individuals to a country with a questionable human rights record and a prison system plagued by allegations of abuse, the U.S. risks becoming complicit in human rights violations. The lack of transparency surrounding the agreement and the potential for its scope to expand to include American citizens only deepens the unease surrounding this troubling partnership.